Hey there, and welcome back. My name is Cyrus, and today we're going to be going over business and building creation in Seed. Now, this may be a slightly longer process, so this video and tutorial is going to probably be split into a couple different parts. So after you've watched this video here, make sure you tune in for part 2 and possibly even a part 3. So the very first thing that we're going to want to do when we're looking at creating our first building, or any building after that, is how big the plot we have is, and to make sure that we have enough space in it for whatever building we want to create, including the outdoor blocks. So here you'll see I have a pretty standard 4x4 plot that we're going to try to kind of squeeze a building into. So we have enough room to get our machines in place and to process a couple of things outside of the building as well. Now, to initially start the planning of your building, you'll want to select somewhere on the plot that you own. Once you've done so, it will open up a little screen that you can select Construct Building. After that, it will most likely automatically open up the Exterior tab and the Structure Block section below it. This is probably the best starting place for when you are plotting out a building, so you can see how much room one block takes up. But if you want, you can always start with outdoor blocks as well. But we'll get into the outdoor blocks here in just a minute and what importance they really have. Now, the first thing that you might notice is that you will have a couple different options in between the structure block styles. We commonly refer to these styles as tiers. Now, each one of these tiers will have a separate height limit and block limit, and each tier will also have a different resource requirement to complete the structure. You, starting out, will most likely want to start with the very first tier, as the very first tier will only require lumber to make. Now, I will say that the available options here might look slightly different from what you see in the game, because at the time of this recording, Klang had removed what had previously been known as the 5th tier of structure blocks, but they had stated since then that they would be bringing that back at a later time. Now, an important thing to be aware of when you're initially planning your structure is if there is anything on the ground. An example would be mushrooms, flax, or any resource deposits, because these things will prevent you from putting a structure block down, but it could be advantageous to completely surround a resource deposit with outdoor blocks so you can harvest that later. You will see here that I'm going to be creating a 3x3 tier 1 building, and this is a pretty standard size for what most new players will create for their first building, and really all that you need to get started in the game. I'm also going to be expanding out with outdoor blocks. Now, this is a pretty important thing that you might also want to add, because you will be able to move your inbox and outbox into these exterior blocks to give yourself a little bit more room on the inside of your building. Because if you want to also additionally harvest any of the resources that are underground or start a farming business, you will need those outdoor blocks linked to the structure as well. Another key thing to note is that every structure will need an entrance. You don't have to make multiple, but you can see that I'm doing so just because it's easier for seedlings to go inside and outside of the building into the different outdoor block areas without having to walk all the way around it, and instead of having to also leave the structure itself. Now, another nice thing to note as well is that entrances don't actually cost any resources at all to create. So you can make as many of these as you would like, but just keep in mind that this could possibly prevent the placing of furniture in the future. Additionally to creating entrances, you can create windows. These will allow light into your buildings, but they're not necessary to light up your buildings. You can do this with lights, but these are not free. These windows will require glass for you to construct onto your building. So if you're just beginning, it's probably best to hold off on the windows because glass does require a slightly higher skill requirement that you probably won't start off the game with. But if you do have the ability, you can always buy glass from another player. Next up here, we're going to go over room blocks. Now, these serve more of a purpose than just for looks. I'll go ahead and note that these also don't require any resources to make, so you can make as many rooms as you would like. But when you are creating rooms, you want to essentially paint the size of the room that you want, or another term for it might be click and drag over the entire area that you want to be a room. Now this is also how you'll delete rooms too, because there's no real room deletion. You'll just need to repaint the rooms to be however you want. And I will say the additional functionality of rooms is when you eventually place machines down, you will want to separate machines into separate rooms until you eventually can off-put the loud sounds that they make. But I'll be getting into that later. Now, after you've created your room or multiple rooms, you'll want to go ahead and select interior door and select what size door you want. Just like with the entrances, there is a wider option and a more narrow option. I do suggest that you go with the more narrow option because it does just give you a bit more space to place your machines without any possible errors or anything like that. So I would go for the more narrow options there, but it's completely up to you, of course. And jumping back to the different tiers for a second, I do want to note that the first tier that will allow you to build to a second floor is the third tier, which requires sanded wood, nails, and wood joints, all of which you won't have access to at the very beginning of a society. If you're joining a more developed society, you can purchase those resources, but I would recommend just starting with the first tier and either working your way up or just kind of skipping to where you want to later on. Now, an additional important note to make for when you do create your third tier building and higher, and you're looking to build multiple floors, you will need to make room for an elevator. And an elevator requires a 2x2 structural block space on every floor that it exists. Now with that, note that you will be able to overlap elevators that start on one floor and carry over to the next one. So for instance, the elevator that starts on the first floor and carries over to the second floor can overlap with the elevator that starts on the second floor and carries over to the third floor. Now, since we are making this building to eventually become a business, it is a good idea to create basically an entry room that you don't really care if other seedlings come in or out of. Because there is a requirement for all business buildings when it comes to security permissions that they have one room that has access to the outside that is available to the public. So for me, it's just easiest to create a little 1x1 room that you can unlock to the public, and then you can lock down all the other rooms in your business to make sure that no seedlings can eventually accidentally come in and pick up any items. After you have your design in place, you can get a little bit of fun with it. And at this point, you can paint your floors, paint your walls into kind of whatever combination that you want. Each room, you can change it up to be whatever style you want. And if you want to make a bathroom that's just mainly tiles, or if you want to make an entryway that makes it look like a little mud room, you can definitely do that. And the great thing about it is that painting floors or walls requires absolutely zero additional resources, and they're completely free at this time. Now, there is one additional bit of customization that you can do, but you might not notice it too much. You can change what the interior lighting looks like, which only matters when you either have windows or you place lights down, and that will change the hue of the lighting on the inside of the building. So make sure you play around with that as well, and again, that requires no resources as well. Now that you've finally come up with a final design and you've got everything painted and laid out the way that you want it to do, you just go down to the bottom right and select Confirm Design. After you've done so, it will create this blue hologram of everything that you've created. And as you can see here, you'll need to gather the resources that had originally told you in the bottom right corner that you would need before the construction can be fully completed. But I will say you don't need the full amount in the inbox and outbox before you can start construction. You'll need at least one of every resource type if it's a later tier construction, or in this case, you'll just need one of the needed resource. So after you've confirmed the design, you can click on the hologram at any time to see what the construction resources are. So in this case, we see that we need lumber, and on the left-hand side of those red numbers there, you can see the amount of lumber currently in the inbox and outbox. And on the right-hand side of it, you can see that there is a 29, which is the total amount of lumber that we will need to construct the building. So at this moment, we have 0 of 29. Now, if this building was fully constructed and you're just adding on an extension to it, you will see the fully constructed building still there, but a hologram for the extended part of it that you're creating, and you will still be able to click on the building at any time to see what resources are required for the building itself. Now, the last thing I will add about the resources here is that as you provide the resources and construct the structure, you will see the number both on the left and right go down as the construction is actively utilizing those provided resources. So the total requirement will go down because the amount of provided resources is basically subtracting from what you still need. And as far as how you obtain these resources, it really doesn't matter. You can either purchase these resources that you need if you don't produce everything yourself from the marketplace, or you can set up contracts with other players, or you can actually produce them yourself if you have the means to. It really does not matter whatsoever so long as the resources are provided to the building. And while we wait for this structure to finish being built, we're gonna go ahead and create our business. So to do so, you're going to want to go into the top right corner and select the business tab. From there, you'll want to select Create Business, and you'll see this extra menu pop up where you can give the business its name, choose what seedling will become the business owner, and then you will select Pay 500 seed coins and create. And then congrats! You've created your business, but your journey is not over yet. To actually make any real money or get the business really going, you will need to create branches for your business. Now, this building here that we are making will actually become our first business branch. So you'll see right here that Majestic Silkwood, which is the name of the structure here, will pop up as the suggested building to give over to your business. So all you have to do is either select Change Owner in that menu, and then you can select your business as the new owner for that building. Or later on, you can click on the building itself and then select the 3 little dots in the top of that menu, Select Manage from there, which will then bring you over to the Properties tab, where you can select Change Owner and then hand your building over to your business to make it your first branch. Now, if you already have a completed building, you can just select the building, select those 3 dots, go to Manage, and change the ownership there. Now, each branch does share the same account wallet, so your business will basically be at the very top, just managing all the money side of things. But that's pretty much where the sharing ends in between all of your branches. They don't have an interconnected inventory. They don't share employees or anything like that. You do have the ability to create contracts in between your different branches, but that's really going to be as much sharing as they do. Now, to keep this first video relatively simple and short and sweet, we're actually going to finish it off right here before the building is completed. So, in my next video, I'll discuss how we furnish our buildings, create our first service industry branch, scan for underground resources, create jobs, and create our employee schedules. So if you enjoyed this video and want to be notified as soon as the next chapter of this business tutorial is posted, make sure you give the video a like, subscribe down below, and you keep an eye on your notifications. Now lastly, if you ever want to catch me live, make sure to visit my Twitch account, linked down below. Thank you guys, and make sure to let me know in the comments what other things you'd like me to show off and seed, or any questions you'd like for me to cover into the future. Until next time, this is Cyrus, and welcome to the dark side.